Welcome to the Bible Breakdown. It's a black man and woman in America who no longer identify as believers. This show contains adult languages, themes, and isn't meant for children. As black people, we respect the history of the black church in America, but its current state is massively abusive, and we think the Bible might be part of the problem. Listen and let us know what you think. Peace. Welcome back to another episode of Bible Breakdown with T and Cat and T, however we want to do it. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well.
You seem a little down today.
No, not down. Just got a lot going on.
Just tired?
No, just trying to process how I'm going to handle everything.
He's over here trying to have it all.
Yeah.
But today we're just going to have some Bible. And we're in the New Revised Standard Version of Genesis chapter 28. And so we're going to keep on talking about the descendants of the most famous fuckboy in the world, Abraham. Okay. Genesis 28. Then Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him, "You shall not marry one of the Canaanite women. Go at once to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take as wife from there one of their daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. May God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and numerous, that you may become a company of peoples. May he give to you the blessings of Abraham, to you and to your offspring with you, so that you may take possessions of the lands where you now live as an alien. Land that God gave to Abraham," allegedly. Thus Isaac sent Jacob away, and he went to Padan Aram, to Laban son of Bethuel the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob and Esau's mother. I almost need like a chart for all these. I think I'm gonna try to find a chart.
Yeah.
To keep everybody straight, because this is a nice little tight and incestuous family. Esau marries Ishmael's daughter. Yeah, because I think they would be cousins, right?
Sure. I don't know who anybody is really. So
okay, so we remember Jacob and Esau were the twins.
No, I remember that. Yeah, he sold his.
We remember Ishmael is actually should be. I mean, he's Abraham's firstborn. He should be the rightful heir, but you know,
he's the one who got cast out. That's Hagar's son.
Yes. See, we're all on track. It's like a soap opera. Now Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Padan Aram to take a wife from there, and that as he blessed him, he charged him, "You shall not marry one of the Canaanite women," and that Jacob had obeyed his father and his mother and gone to Padan Aram. So when Esau saw that the Canaanite women did not please his father Isaac, Esau went to Ishmael and took Mahalath, daughter of Abraham's son Ishmael and sister of Nebaioth, to be his wife in addition to the wives he had. Jacob's dream at Bethel. Jacob left Beersheba and went to Haran. He came to a certain place and stayed there for the night because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones of the place, he put it under his head and lay down in that place. And he dreamed that there was a ladder set up on the earth, the top of it reaching to heaven, and the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. And the Lord stood beside him and said, "I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie, I will give to you and your offspring, and your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth. And you shall spread abroad to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south, and all the families of the earth shall be blessed in you and your offspring. Know that I am with you, and I will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land, for I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you." Then Jacob woke up from his sleep and said, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." He was afraid and said, "How awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven. So Jacob rose early in the morning, and he took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up for a pillar and poured oil on top of it. He called that place Bethel, but the name of the city was Luz at the first. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, if God be with me and will keep me in the way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and clothing to wear, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then the Lord shall be my God, and this stone which I have set upon for a pillar shall be God's house. Of all that you give me, I will surely give 1/10 to you. Bum, 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 bum. We know what that means. Thanks be to God. All right, I'm gonna throw it to you, T. What good message can you take from that?
Nothing.
Wow.
Is Jacob's ladder or whatever? Is this leading to like?
This is Jacob's ladder.
Yeah, I'm confused. Is this going to lead to the Tower of Babel?
Did we already do Tower of Babel?
Oh, yeah. Okay, we did. All right, I think so. I don't know.
I think according to the timeline, God has already spread everybody out, because I think we already covered this, because two things I think one of the things that God really hates is human cooperation. It was the lesson from that story.
All right. And what is the point of the ladder again?
Well, I think for one, it was a really popular Sunday school tale because it creates some imagery that they can use to work with. Because like I said, a lot of the Bible isn't all that narrative and doesn't give you a lot of imagery of stuff happening. So at least in this one, and also too, the Bible does not talk about heaven very often, because I mean, really the concept of heaven we're mostly relying on in our brains is taken from like Greek and Roman myths and cartoons with the clouds and the fire and stuff. Like that's not really how anything is described in the Bible, except like a lake of fire. That was like the most descriptive thing about what we're thinking of when we think of hell. So I don't know that this is all that important. It just sounds like he had a dream, and that gives him the right to conquer this land.
I took from this, if you have voices in your head that tell you to do things, I guess that means go do it.
Rightio. And you need to give 10% of your income to your church. They threw that right there at the end.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just saying, I think this is one of the biblical justifications for tithing, which I often refer to as spiritual extortion.
I would agree.
Yay! I like it when we agree.
I don't know. And
the xenophobia, like the fact that they don't want to marry outside of their family, that to me is gross.
Yeah, it's gross. It's close-minded. But I mean, the entire premise of the book that we're reading is kind of a limited scope of view. So, yeah.
Yeah, once again, these people didn't have any concept of genes and DNA, and the fact that if you don't have a deep enough gene pool, things start getting weird and very birth defecty.
Well, Jacob is about to marry or meet Rachel.
Actually, this is a really good, at least narrative. Like I would watch a movie or TV show about this story, because it's got romance, intrigue, deception, of course, sex. Like it's just sibling rivalry, slavery. Of course, it's the Bible after all.
Yeah. All right. So, verse 1. Then Jacob went on his journey and came to the land of the people of the east. And he looked, he saw a well in the field and 3 flocks of sheep lying there beside it. For out of the well the flocks were watered. The stone on the well's mouth was large, and when all the flocks were gathered there, the shepherds would roll the stone from the mouth of the well and water the sheep, and put the stone back in its place on the mouth of the well. Here we go with that just unnecessary narration.
Well, we need to know how wells work for the story to work. I'm just kidding. It's dumb. We didn't need that at all.
Jacob said to them, "My brothers, where do you come from?" They said, "We are from Haran." He said it to them, "Do you know Laban, son of Nahor?" They said, "We do." He said to them, is it is it well with him?" "Yes," they replied. "And here is his daughter." Wow, like what the fuck?
That's good timing.
That is such a
What a coincidence.
yeah.
And
He's well, and here is his daughter. Like,
cute Rachel.
all right. Rachel, here's his daughter Rachel coming with the sheep. He said, "Look, it is still broad daylight. It is not time for the animals to be gathered together. Water the sheep and go pasture them." But they said, "We cannot until all the flocks are gathered together and the stone is rolled from the mouth of the well. Then we will water the sheep." While he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she kept them. No shit. Now when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of his mother's brother Laban, and the sheep of his mother's brother Laban, Jacob went up and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of his mother's brother Laban. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and went aloud. What the? Whoa. He doesn't even know her.
Oh, whoa.
Wait,
Well, that is his first cousin. I mean, you're allowed to take some liberties.
We've read this story before, I think, but okay.
Not on the podcast.
Yeah.
We've had the Isaac and wait, who else was there? There was
another story where somebody just walked up and kissed another chick.
No, I'm just thinking about the wells. I think it's triggering a memory, but no, I don't remember any other story where because I mean, especially in these societies, it's like this one, you're not even allowed to touch women who aren't your wife in public, and he just hauled off and started making out. She must have been hot.
I dreamt it. God sent me a dream that we would be having.
Oh, okay. Well, that's solid.
And Jacob told Rachel she was. I'm sorry. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and wept aloud. So he kissed her and then started crying, or one of them started crying.
That's not scary at all, by the way, guys. If you just go up to women and start kissing them and crying, they love that.
And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's kinsman and that he was Rebekah's son, and she ran and told her father. Wow. When Laban heard the news about his sister's son Jacob, he ran to meet him. He embraced him and kissed him and brought him to the house. Keep in mind that Laban didn't give a shit that this strange person kissed his daughter.
It's not his strange person, it's his nephew. He
went off the word that somebody just said that he was his nephew without any proof. This was before Facebook or Twitter.
I think Rachel told him what a good kisser he was. He was like, I gotta get some of this.
Jacob told Laban all these things, and Laban said to him, "Surely you are my bone and my flesh." And he stayed with the mouth. Wait, what? And he stayed a month. We stayed with him a month. With a month. He stayed with him a month.
Yeah.
Sorry, can't read.
Yeah.
I was doing.
It was probably banging Rachel the whole time.
Yeah. Wow. Jacob marries Laban's daughters. Then Laban said to Jacob, "Because you are my kinsman, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what shall your wages be?" Now Laban had two daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Yeah, I remember the story. He's gonna
don't spoil it. And if it actually is pronounced Leah, wait, is it Leah or Leah? Because actually, I don't know. I've always heard it pronounced Leah, but I've gotten a lot of bad information about the Bible over the years. So if I've always heard Leah and Rachel, Leia, yeah, because it makes me think of Star Wars, and I like thinking of Star Wars.
I used to. Leia's eyes were lovely, and Rachel was graceful and beautiful. Jacob, well, at least Leia had lovely eyes. Jacob told Rachel,
that's shade.
Yeah,
that's like saying she has such a pretty face.
No, it's not. Because I've seen plenty of people who have beautiful eyes, but they're not beautiful.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's something you compliment because there's nothing else. Like it's because everyone's eye. I mean, you have to be
not everyone's eyes.
I'm saying you have to be really busted for you can't even say your eyes are beautiful. Because everybody can pretty much say that,
because it's about.
And actually, I think
structure.
she had different eye color too, or something like that. Yeah. Like it was something like that, or whatever. Like basically, I think they're trying to say that was just her only redeeming feature. I get the feeling that Leia. We'll get to it.
Okay. Anyway, Leia's eyes were lovely. Rachel was graceful and beautiful, and Rachel was graceful, meaning
And beautiful. See, that's my whole thing. They didn't call Leia beautiful. It's like, oh, well, she's got lovely eyes, and Rachel's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like that's not equal compliments.
Yeah. It's not. That's the point. Jacob loved Rachel, so he said, I will serve you 7 years for your younger daughter, Rachel. Laban said, it is better that I give her to you than I should give her to any other man. Stay with me. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and then seemed to him but a few days because of the love he had for her.
Aww.
First of all, 7 years was definitely not 360.
It'd be like, que es mi prima. It's like, I love my cousin.
No. Then Jacob said to Laban, give me my wife and I may go to her for my time.
So that he may go into her.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then Jacob said to Laban, give me my wife that I may go into her, for my time is completed. So Laban gathered together and all the people of the place and made a feast. But in the evening, he took his daughter Leah and brought her to Jacob, and he went into her. Like, did he not? I don't know. Maybe he was drunk. Did he not see her?
I mean, it's been 7 years. He's probably been having sex with both of them for quite some time.
Laban gave his maid Zilpah to his daughter Leah. Laban gave his maid Zilpah to his daughter Leah to be her maid. When morning came, it was Leah, and Jacob said to Laban, what is this that you've done to me? Did I not serve with you for Rachel? Why then have you deceived me? Laban said, this is not done in our country, giving the younger before the firstborn. You waited fucking 7 years to tell me that?
We'we's a dick.
What a fucking asshole.
I don't care that you're my uncle. I hate you.
Complete the week of this one, and we will give you the other one in return for another 7 years. What?
Wow.
Like, you could have just told me
14 years to bust it open?
You could have just told me that. But whatever. Jacob did so and completed her week. And then Laban gave him his daughter Rachel as a wife. Laban gave his maid Bilhah to his daughter Rachel to be her maid. So Jacob went into Rachel also, and he loved Rachel more than Leah. He served Laban for another 7 years. When the Lord saw that When the Lord saw that Leah was unloved, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. Oh, it'd be like that. Leah conceived and bore a son, and she named him Reuben. For she said, because the Lord has looked on my affliction, surely now my husband will love me. She conceived again and bore a son, and said, because the Lord has heard that I am hated, he has given me this son also. And she named him Simeon. Again, she conceived and bore a son and said, now that this time my husband will be joined to me, because I bore him 3 sons. Therefore he was named Levi. She conceived again and bore a son and said, this time I will praise the Lord. And therefore she named him Judah. Then she ceased bearing. So first of all,
this is incomplete because I know she has a daughter.
Well, it might be coming up, but
okay.
Regardless, first of all, Laban is a dick.
Big time.
He could have said all this at the beginning. He knew that what's his name? Jake? No, not Jacob. What the fuck is the dude's name? Jacob. Yeah, he knew that Jacob. I was right. Yeah. He knew that Jacob was interested in. Wait. First of, this is the same Jacob that stole Esau's birthright, right?
Yes.
Okay, so fuck him first of all.
Yeah, that's why it's hard to feel too bad for him because Laban was just like outdicked him, you know.
Second of all, Laban is also a dick. He could have said that from the beginning. And then, dare I say it, in the context of the story, God is kind of a dick. Like, he could have.
Wait, is God in the story? Where was he at? It sounds like he was just somewhere chilling on a cloud.
No, because he made Rachel barren, and he
such a hater.
He allowed Leah to have kids, and it's just like Rachel in the context of the story didn't even do shit.
Right. I'd have been like, God, I mean, if we're just doling out blessings, could you just make me cute so my husband likes me instead of busting open all these kids? Like that. I mean, he must have liked you enough. Like he's still pumping these kids into you. So, and you have to share a husband with your sister. I would be so, I mean, I don't have any sisters, but I mean, I don't want to share my husband with any, I mean, I don't have a husband, but if I did, I'm not trying to share him. Well, I don't know. Definitely not my sister. From what I understand about like sibling dynamics, you don't like sharing stuff, let alone the person who is supposed to be just for you in this life. So that's really messed up. And I like this little aside too. They just slid it in because it's going to come up later that that Laban gave Bilhah and Zilpah to Rachel and Leah to be their quote unquote maids. I think right now they finally figured out the word slave is bad. So later on, I mean, spoilers, we'll get to like why they put that in the story, because it doesn't seem that important. It's like, why do I need to know who the maid is? But it becomes important later. But yeah, I don't like any of these characters. Yeah, so far I hate it here.
Yeah, I just don't understand how
I would hate being a woman in this period.
Yeah. Also, I just don't understand how anyone could take like this literal, especially this story particularly, because like,
why? This one actually is pretty believable. There's no magic. I mean, other than God is just for some reason playing a part in fertility.
Like, he could have just like, if he's all powerful, he could have won. Just made. Like, I feel bad for Rachel. She got fucking sexually assaulted from the gate, from the
jump. Yeah,
and then like she was,
and then they like but then she was into it, so it's fine.
I guess. I mean, she was as into it as she could have been in the time.
I'm being facetious, and nothing was okay about that. She was probably like 9 years old. You know, if we're just and the thing too, of course there's a high premium. Obviously, like women are only for breeding. So if one of them can't breed, it must be because God cursed her. And like I said, she didn't do anything wrong. It's just because Jacob liked her more. So God was like, you got enough already. Your husband's pumping it into you all the time.
Which is also fucking shitty of God.
Like, yeah. He's like, I'm going to go into my wife. I'm going to go into her sister.
He could have prevented all of this.
And it's all worth it because God promised me a lot of kids. So it's fine. I can go into, and the only way you can have a lot of kids is to have sex with a lot of women. And because the incubation time is 9 months, and a lot of them die, the women, the babies, because there's no obstetric care. You just kind of fingers crossed. Hopefully she's a good birther.
Wow.
And all that good stuff. Yeah, this all sucked. Yeah, top to bottom. I don't know. My nature is I always try to find something good though. I guess the fact that they were trying to shoot for justice to keep things equal between the wives, since Leah is the I guess the ugly one and Rachel's the cute one. God was like, so I'll make Leah, like, give her high status, because the more sons you have, the more status you have in that society. And then I'll keep Rachel low status since she's already cute. That'll keep her humble.
I mean, I guess. But
and that's reaching. And the fact too, like I said, no marrying foreigners. And
what a tale.
What a tale. Yeah, this is super duper. Okay. Genesis. Oh, well, are you ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Genesis 30. When Rachel saw that she bore Jacob no children, she envied her sister and said to Jacob, "Give me children or I shall die." Ugh. Jacob became very angry with Rachel and said, "Am I in the place of God who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb?" Then she said, "Oh, here we go with this. Here's my maid Bilhah. Go into her, that she may bear upon my knees, that I may too have children through her." So she gave her maid Bilhah as a wife, and Jacob went into her. And Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob a son. Then Rachel said, "God has judged me and has heard my voice and given me a son." Therefore she named him Dan. Rachel's maid Bilhah conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Then Rachel said, "With mighty wrestlings I have wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed." So she named him Naphtali. So this is like a son competition that they're having. Like, so it's like sons are like points on the board, and she's like, "I finally got it over on Rachel. Hey, I just had to give up my maid to be raped.
Yeah.
And also to the, like, this is kind of, if you've watched Handmaid's Tale, like, this is like in the universe of that show, the verse that they use to justify enslaving promiscuous women to give birth for.
I have not watched that show, but okay.
Oh, it's eyebrow raiser. It's good. But yeah, the whole premise of the show is like the human species is becoming infertile. And so all of the fertile women are basically like tagged and tracked and forced to breed for the wealthy, infertile women of the society. And so they would like literally do this thing where she would put her maid like basically between her knees and have her husband fuck the maid. So like the maid is just literally like an object being used as a marital aid for this infertile couple. That's the premise of the show. It's a good show. Okay, back to the story. And once again, this reminds me of a little of Sarah and Hagar, right? Nothing ever goes wrong here. So, not to be outdone, when Leah saw that she had ceased bearing children, she took her maid Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Then Leah's maid Zilpah bore Jacob a son, and Leah said, "Good fortune!" So she named him Gad. Leah's maid Zilpah bore Jacob a second son, and Leah said, "Happy am I, for the women will call me happy." So she named him Asher. In the days of wheat harvest, Reuben went and found mandrakes in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." But she said to her, "Is it a small matter that you have taken away my husband? Would you take away my son's mandrakes also?" Rachel said, "Then he may lie with you tonight for your son's mandrakes." When Jacob came from the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, "You must come in to me, for I have hired you with my son's mandrakes." So he lay with her that night, and God heeded Leah, and she conceived and bore Jacob a fifth son. Leah said, "God has given me my hire because I gave my maid to my husband." So she named him Issachar. Then Leah conceived again, and she bore Jacob a sixth son. Yay! Then Leah said, "God has endowed me with a good dowry. Now my husband will honor me because I have borne him 6 sons." So she named him Zebulun. Afterwards, she bore him a daughter and named her Dinah. Not important at all. Then God remembered Rachel, and God heeded her, opened her womb. She conceived and bore a son and said, "God has taken away my reproach." She named him Joseph, saying, "May the Lord add to me another son." Wow. This is a really, really long one. Okay. Jacob prospers at Laban's expense. When Rachel had borne Joseph, Joseph said to Laban, "Send me away that I may go to my own home and country. Give me my wives and my children for whom I have served you, and let me go, for you know very well the service I have given you." But Laban said to him, "If you will allow me to say so, I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you. Name your wages and I will give it." Jacob said to him, "You yourself know how I have served you and how your cattle have fared with me. For you had little before I came, and it has increased abundantly. And the Lord has blessed you whenever I turned. But now when I shall provide for my own household also," he said, "What shall I give you?" Oh, here come the negotiations. Jacob said, "You shall not give me anything. If you will do this for me, I will again feed your flock and keep it. Let me pass through all your flock today, removing from it every speckled and spotted sheep and every black lamb and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and such shall be my wages. So honesty will answer for me later when you come to look into my wages with you. Everyone that is not speckled and spotted among the goats and black among the lambs, if found with me, shall be counted stolen." Laban said, "Good, let it be as you have said. But that day, Laban removed the male goats that were striped and spotted and all the female goats that were speckled and spotted, every one that had white on it and every lamb that was black, and put them in charge of his sons. And when he set a distance of 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob, while Jacob was pasturing the rest of Laban's flock. Then Jacob took fresh rods of poplar and almond and plane and peeled white streaks in them, exposing the white on the rods. He set the rods that he had peeled in front of the flocks in the troughs, that is, the watering places, where the flocks came to drink. And since they bred when they came to drink, the flocks bred in front of the rods, so that the flocks produced young that were striped, speckled, and spotted. Jacob separated the lambs and set the faces of the flock towards the striped and completely black animals in the flock of Laban, and he put his own droves apart and did not put them with Laban's flock. Whenever the stronger of the flock were breeding, Jacob laid the rods in the troughs before the eyes of the flock, that they might breed among the rods. But for the feebler of the flock, he did not lay them there. So the feebler were Laban's and the stronger were Jacob's. Thus the men grew exceedingly rich and had large flocks, and the male and female slaves, and the camels and donkeys. Thanks be to God. God, that was... I feel dumber knowing that now.
Yeah, these stories are not good.
Well, I don't know. We got some good drama here. Actually, I'm with all this. What are mandrakes? I remember that from Harry Potter. Are those just like roots that you can eat?
I have no idea.
I think like, yeah. Well, I mean, in real life, what are mandrakes? Because in Harry Potter, they were like these screaming root creatures.
Yeah, it's a plant.
Okay. Well, they must be pretty valuable since Leia was able to trade some dick for it. I mean, it's just so weird. She was like, "What? You want my mandrakes and my man?" And it's like, okay, settle down. For Rachel, this is insane to me that this sister rivalry is over this man who is apparently gets to sleep with everybody. It must be nice to be Jacob. And it sounds like he ripped Laban off too. I mean, I don't get what was going on with the sheep and the goats. And like, I don't know why, like, does it matter what they're looking at when they're fucking?
It always matters what you're looking at while you're fucking.
To goats, though. Like, as far as, because they were making it sound like if you look at this rod while you're fucking, like, they'll be stronger.
I don't know any this fantasy shit. Like, I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what the logic. What I got from it is it sounds like he was doing something to rip Laban off, maybe to get back at him for tricking him with Leia. But a lot of this stuff is,
yeah. I mean, that's what I kind of would take from it.
The rules to this game seem really messed up, and I can't imagine that. Like I think a lot of people are less familiar with this story, but they do know the story of Joseph being sold into slavery by his brothers. But when you see sort of these toxic family dynamics, you can kind of see where that came from, because it's not that it's cool to sell your brother into slavery, but this is a wildly dysfunctional family. Like,
I mean, that kind of happens when your fucking brother is also your uncle.
Yeah, like that gets weird. And then everybody's trying to be daddy's favorite. Like Leia and Rachel are trying to be the favorite wives. And I'm sure, I know this happens in every family. Every kid is always trying to be the favorite child. And then things just get crazy and weird. So I would like to, I don't know. I don't know what we're supposed to get from this. I do know Dina, like that's what I was saying too, when they were saying in the earlier chapter that she stopped bearing. I was like, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure Leia has some more kids, and then she does. Dina, and then I'm very interested in the stories of Zilpah and Bilhah, like what their lives were like and what their perspectives were, because it doesn't sound like they had much of a choice in this. They were just expected to lay with their master and bear his children.
Yeah.
In a filthy tent.
Yeah.
It's really sad, actually. A lot of times this stuff kind of dumbs me out. Like I said too, this is the story that the universe of the Handmaid's Tale uses to enslave women. And it's just this just assumption of male superiority and dominance that is just sort of an overreaching theme so far.
That's what I get from the Bible, just in general. But all right,
What?
male dominance and overreaching.
Yeah. I'm glad you're on board with me there. Because in earlier readings, you didn't necessarily agree that it was misogynistic, or you didn't agree that there was enough evidence yet. But I think we have enough evidence now.
I was trolling you.
That sounds like you.
Yeah, I don't know what it. Yeah, I mean, this book is very misogynistic. And I got told I was misogynistic.
I mean, you're not misogynistic. You are trolly, but you're definitely not. You love women.
That's what I was like. How am I misogynistic? But the person they won't give me a real answer, and so I'm just like,
you're just pissing them off. Maybe they're trolling you.
They're touche. Yeah, I was just like, I am okay with women doing things.
Yay! We need more men like you. It's such a low bar. I just need men who realize women are people and should be allowed to do things.
I don't have the energy to try to control. I mean, it's hard enough trying to control myself.
Okay.
I don't have the energy to try to control her or any other person.
Yeah, but a lot of it is rooted in sort of that fear of, because so much about this is reproduction. Like the way the Lord is promising to bless, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is through reproduction, sexual reproduction. And so it's obviously very important.
This book sounds like it's like a way for, and you saying that, it makes it seem like it's just a way to make sure every man can get some pussy.
Oh, definitely. And
which is like,
and also prioritize, and the reason why, of course, sons are prioritized is, well, because that's who carries on your name, because you just marry the daughters off or sell them as slaves. They're pretty much worthless. But also because later on, when, this nation of Abraham starts growing, you have to go to war. And who are your warriors? Men. You need a lot of them because you lose a lot of them in war. So you got to keep supply going. So I would say this is about pussy distribution. And I've just always been a fan of women should be in charge of pussy distribution, since we're literally the manufacturers. So we should, but I think the Bible takes the point of, it's like, no, I think men should be in charge of when women get to have sex and get married. And
I just feel like, as we know statistically now, like there's more women in the world than men. And
well, do we know that? I thought it was like basically halvesies.
Is it halvesies? I thought it was.
I mean,
I could be wrong. I could be wrong. The point, regardless of how many men or women there is, like the point I'm making is there's enough to where I don't have to worry about this chick. Like I can go find.
There's enough to go around, is what you're saying.
Yeah, like I can go find somebody else. So like,
yeah.
I don't need to. If you're not gonna give me sex, then I can go get that somewhere else.
Yeah. And also, I don't know, to me it would be a turnoff that someone was only having sex with me because they have to. Like, I don't know, maybe that's just me. I want somebody really into it. Like, yeah. And if not, it's like, that's okay.
Oh, you mean like as a guy, like if she,
yeah, or just as any
that is
being.
a turn off. That is a turn off.
Yeah, like if someone's only sleeping with you because they're a slave and like they'll be beaten or killed.
That's why I never understood rapists.
It's like, that's not fun. It's like, yeah, my only way for me to get sex is to physically dominate you. I mean, unless it's part of the scene, but it's just nah. And
to some people, it is fun to like dominate and be powerful over other people.
People are different. For some people, that's like super, super sexy, I guess.
It's weird.
It is super weird. To me, this is just all a story about abuse and dysfunction. And whenever people talk about like biblical marriage, like this is an example of biblical marriage. It's terrible. And that's the thing too, whenever like super evangelical Christian groups are like, one man, one woman, that's marriage from the Bible. And it's like, actually, the Bible, the examples of marriage that we've been given so far have been one man, a lot of wives.
How it should be.
I don't know, man. It doesn't look fun. Once again, a lot of girlfriends.
I don't think it looks fun when you're forced into it, but if like there's the conversation of like this is
saying like a lot of girlfriends would be fun. I don't think a lot of wives would be fun. Because
what's the difference?
Because girlfriends
splitting
are just
up the inheritance type things.
Well, because marriage is built around it's basically entering into a contract with someone. You're building an institution. It's a lifelong contract where, during this time of period, we've talked about that before, about how licenses should expire. Mm-hmm. And after a certain time, you have to, after a certain time, you have to renew them. And that'll, for one, keep people on their, because once again, like, we're just human beings. Like, if we don't have the motivation, like if at the end of this contract, you don't have to re-up, then why are you staying in shape? You ain't putting points on the board. You haven't been engaging. You haven't been adding value. So we're going to, decide not to re-up this season, maybe next year.
Yeah, that makes total sense, which is why I've still yet to be convinced of why one person would want to be with just one person.
Oh, I get that for some people. Like, for some people, it's super obvious. Like, I think because now we're getting to a point in society where we acknowledge that there are all kinds of sexual and gender orientations.
Are we?
We're way more than we were like 20 years ago.
Okay.
At least as far as talking about it.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And I think we should talk about that there should be also different types of relationship orientations. Like, we take the, male, female, lifelong relationship as the norm. And I don't think it should be for everyone, but I think for some people, that's what obviously works for them because of how they're oriented as people. But since we now understand that everybody's oriented differently, we have to, I think, discuss what relationships can look like. We can actually kind of be creative, and that's what freedom is, like actually kind of carving out what works for you. I think that's just me.
No, I can agree with that and get behind it. And I think, just be honest, man.
With yourself first. Because a lot of times too, people, I had to do that with myself where I'm like, well, it sounds like terribly slutty, but it's like, I don't want to just sleep with one person, but like, or have to, because that's the thing too. I don't have a high sex drive. So like you're told as a woman, like you have to have sex whenever the man wants it. But it's like, I'm fine with a workaround. Like, if I don't feel like it, please find someone who wants to have sex. And like I said, I know how it feels when someone's having sex and doesn't want to, that doesn't feel good. So just have someone who wants to have sex so you can feel good, and then we'll see what happens when I get around to it.
Yeah, that's why I think just conversation, like you said, is important, and understand. I think just having a connection is important with somebody, because like there's the sexual component and like that's intimate or whatever, but like, like how do you make me feel as a person is important. Like that's gonna, to me, that makes me be like, I don't really care if you have sex with me. Like, are we still cool?
I think I don't think the Bible agrees with you.
Well, the Bible works in my favor.
Does it? Oh, that's true. but only if you marry them. The Bible is really not cool with fucking unless you're married, which means you have to stay together forever or go through a complicated legal procedure. I would just get
married to all the people I wanted to get married to, and I can.
See, and that's what they do.
Have unlimited wives.
And here's the thing: they kind of do that a little bit in some sects of Islam, where men will do that, like have an imam marry them for the night and then divorce them in the morning, like as a workaround. Because Muslim men, I think, can officially like have as many as 4 wives at once.
Nice. And
you can divorce at will. I think you only have to say, I divorce you 3 times, and that's it. Nice. And for men. Like women can't.
Oh, this is perfect.
But they're not. But it's
Figured it
interesting.
out, man.
I don't think they're happy though.
Is the one that's like, what? Yeah, nobody. I was thinking about this earlier. Nobody's happy when we have to live in repression, like whether sexually or just like identity. Like it just sucks to live in a society where like I don't want to do this thing, but I have to like abide, quote unquote, by whatever everybody's telling me to do. Like, which is why, again, the fucking guy. I mean, this is not the only reason, but whoever the guy is who like shot up the Asian salons and shit. One of the things was like he was like, from what I just examined, I mean, he obviously was a hate crime, but just like he was sexually repressed, and like that plays a part into it. And that I think that's why, like, sometimes in the Middle East, again, not the only reason, so don't try to cancel me, you fucking.
And not the whole Middle East.
And not the whole Middle East.
Y'all are cool, like, Lebanon.
I think it's a part of it where it's just like, yeah, I'm not getting no pussy, and you guys are telling me I can't.
It's hot.
It's hot out here. Like, you know, what else? I mean, and we could just take it away from that. Just like in the like America, like the hoods of America. It's like, dudes, you know, like you've taken away the family structures, you've taken away like the boys and girls clubs, the after school programs, and like
music and arts programs.
Yeah, you got all these kids who just don't have any guidance, and it's like, oh, the only thing we know is violence and fucking. And like,
let's put these guns in this pussy on TikTok.
Yeah, like that's it. So when that's all you have as your option, like, what are you gonna expect?
Yeah, it's yeah. Yeah, but you're right. I agree with you wholeheartedly that sexual and identity suppression does lead to huge societal problems, and you hate to see it.
Can you just imagine, like, if the world was just like, we're just gonna be sexually free, we're not gonna like slut shame anybody or try to, like, I think like a lot of the problems in the world would be solved.
They already made that. It's called Amsterdam.
Oh, well, hey.
Because you can go to Amsterdam, drugs are legal, sex working is legal. I mean, you have to have licenses, they regulate it and tax it and everything. Actually, and I don't know if it's, is it Denmark? I don't know where it is out there where if you're disabled, it's part of their social programs where they will send a sex worker to you once a week. The government pays for it. Because like,
fucking awesome.
So like there's this one dude, like he's paraplegic and stuff. He can't go out and get pussy, and the government and he gets like real hype. I heard another podcast talking about this, and he was like, yeah, like you got your pussy appointment coming, this your state issued pussy appointment. And of course you can opt out of it. It's not like you have to have sex with this, but that it's an option. Like they're just like, hey, we just want to have a healthy, happy society, and we realize that sex is a part of being healthy. And if you can't go out and get yours, and it's better than you shooting up the place.
I agree. Like we would all be so much happier.
And the fact too that they, all of their sex workers, they have to be tested regularly, so you're not as concerned about STIs and things like that. Like it makes for a healthier society where we just admit, and we are going in the right direction too. Like where we're at, they're not legalizing weed yet, but they will soon. All our neighbors are.
I'm sure that it cuts down on sexual trafficking in that area too.
I don't know about that though. Like that's always real tricky. Like, because I've heard that before, but that's not always true. Unfortunately, like human trafficking of any kind. Actually, I think that's how we need to start referring to American slavery instead of calling it slavery, because that bums everybody out. If we just called it like mass human trafficking, everybody might be like, oh, what's this? It's like, but it was just human trafficking en masse.
Yeah.
And it still goes on today. I don't know how to stop it exactly. I feel like legitimizing it makes it easier, because I know here, like women who are in like sex work, a lot of times if they observe underage people, they don't feel comfortable going to the police because, of course, they themselves are, not legally protected in a lot of ways. So, and I would like to see that too, because a lot of times when sex workers are assaulted or raped, police are just like, oh, well, that just means you didn't get paid. And it's like, shit, it's like, goddamn. Like, and a lot of times too, and they get assaulted by the police officers too.
Look, man, this is a wild take, but we gotta start
Uh-oh.
treating like our sex workers, porn industry, all them. They're fucking essential, okay?
Yeah, treat them better. That's not a hot take. I don't think that's wild.
No, we gotta
They're
treat them
people. We need to treat
they're-
them like people, citizens. They need
But
to they need access to SSI. If they're paying taxes, they deserve representation.
They provide a very important work.
It's essential. It is, and it is work. Like, that's the thing too.
Without them, I don't know.
Yes, like, and I always think too of throughout history, because we've always disparaged, even in the Bible, like people always want to call like Mary Magdalene a prostitute, even though there's nothing in the Bible that says she was a prostitute. That's just kind of something that sprung out. Like, I guess because she was a woman talking around men, people are just like, oh, that must be a prostitute. But
what's her name? Damn it. Fuck,
Jezebel?
For this. There's something for this, like Archer says. What's the chick? I was gonna make a connection between what you just said and the lady who's in Congress. This pretty, but she's like
AOC.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Well, you're just like, she must be a prostitute because she's a woman talking around men, and I just was thinking.
Yeah.
They try to sexualize AOC and try to like talk down to her and shit.
Exactly. And it's the same thing where she's like, oh, well, she's just a whore. And it's like, okay, well, the whores always have the tea. So bring her over here. Like, that's the thing. Like, throughout, and I like to read, and some of the best memoirs are by sex workers. Like, they have the most interesting stories. And you want to talk about customer service. If you want to learn how to give good customer service and how to work with people, because it's a very intense work. And I've read stories about like the courtesans of Venice, like they were world famous. Like people would come out from all over the world to come to Venice to really just talk to these women that were highly educated, but also fuck them. Because if you have somebody who spent their life learning how to fuck somebody, I mean, that might. And this was back in the days, there was no porn. You couldn't even jack off to movies. Like, there's nothing. Like, yeah, like, there's like, oh, there are women who are all they're doing all day is preparing to fuck. It's like, what are they talking about? And yeah, I remember there was a memoir I read about one of the empresses of China and how she would go to whorehouses to learn tricks to do on the emperor because she was in competition with hundreds of other women in the imperial palace, really the whole country. Like, it's the emperor. He can have sex with anyone. So she was like, okay, I'm going to have to bring it. And she brought it. She got that nut. So, like that's, but I mean, I'm not saying
it's so funny because there's a saying out there that is like, it's crazy how all the whores are lifted up now and all the good girls are still single, basically.
Wait, say that again.
What you said made me think of something where it's like, this is paraphrasing, but I had seen something a while ago. It was like, we used to, in school, people would be like, that girl's a slut or whatever, but it's like, it's crazy now that we're older, like all the sluts like have husbands now and all the good girls are still single.
Yep.
It's
that's what did Chris Rock say that? It was one of the comedians who was like, well, no, what I'm about to say, which is like, good pussy could get you an apartment, but good head will get you the ring. Like like that's, and I remember Tucker Max said that too. He was like, take note, ladies. He's like, I always keep a good head doctor on the roster. Like it's a must. But
that, and just like,
it's like, I don't clean. But let me tell you, I got this ring.
Who said that?
Cardi B. That was on Wild.
For real?
She's like, I don't cook. I don't clean, but let me tell you, I got this ring. I be swallowing, drip out. I don't even up. I run to that song like that's on my workout playlist. Yeah, that's fun too. I like Cardi, but once again, she's very sex positive, and she's right. I mean, and she ain't wrong.
I like Cardi. She says some shit that I feel like
she's very entertaining. She's very genuine and all that good stuff. But yeah, it's a wild world, but it goes back to why I wanted to do this, because when people are like, this is a book you should live by, no, you should not. And people who say that are people who are either unfamiliar with what's actually in it or want 10% of your income, gross income, not that net. So don't even try it.
If we could just get into that for a second.
Yes,
I don't
please.
have an issue. Like, life is a business to an extent. So like, I don't have
I'll say that because you cut out a little bit. Life is a what?
Life is business to an extent. So I don't have an issue with like, like everybody's trying to sell you on something, like, Apple, everybody wants you money from you. I'm fine with that. What I don't like is like even insurance, which I don't fucking like, but they had a good little sales tactic. They take your money each month in the event that something may happen. Yeah. So, but with church, I just never could get my head around, like, I don't see any. They're like insurance times 100, because it's like they take your money in the event that something could happen, but
in the afterlife, for your soul.
But like, nobody's lived to tell about that.
Oh, well, yeah, because insurance is much better because I've seen car accidents.
Yeah.
So, yeah, obviously I need that. And I've been sick, so I've used my medical insurance. But as far as afterlife insurance,
so no.
A lot of people are selling that, and I just know.
Joel Osteen, and like TD Jakes and all these people have these fucking mega churches, and it's just like, what am I paying you for? Like, just say you're a motivational speaker. I would follow that more. If you just came out and was like, if you're just a motivational, than E.T. Thomas or Eric the Preacher, I'm no different than him. I'm no different than Gary Vaynerchuk. Like, if people just came out and said that, I would just respect that so much more and be like, okay, cool. Like,
nigga, they don't want your respect. They don't want your respect. They want their tax-free status, and that's the difference. That's the difference between Joel Osteen and a regular motivational speaker, is the fact that Joel Osteen doesn't have to pay taxes on his $10 million parsonage.
Which
a parsonage is just the name of a house a preacher lives in, and you don't have to pay taxes on it if it,
which at the same
belongs
time
to the church. Which I also think, yeah, that's messed up. Like, we need to be taxing sex workers, so legitimize them, and churches. They can at least pay property taxes.
Yeah, and here's the money.
But they don't. And that's the thing too. They own a lot of property and they're not paying property taxes. Nice for them.
But I also respect the hustle. I respect it.
I don't. Not when you present yourself. Like, I can respect the hustle when, like, you're just like, I'm hustling. But they're not even admitting they're hustling. They're saying we are providing the world with a net good. We are providing people with purpose. And
there's an argument to that, though. The argument is this, and it may not. I don't know. I just heard once where it was like, when you are smarter than somebody and you have the ability to take advantage of them, whether it be mentally or spiritually or whatever, like, is it your fault for taking advantage of them?
Yes.
Or is the other person's fault for not, not being
it's your fault for it's the same thing with like R. Kelly when he was fucking those girls, and it's like you want to put the onus on the girls for being taken advantage of, but it's like, nah, he could also not fucking like mess with them. Like, if you're going out, because that's the thing too, like as I get older and realize, like, consider certain situations, you're gonna know when you have the advantage, and so there are gonna be like situations where you can take advantage of someone, but if it actually ends up harming them, then yes, that's your fault for taking advantage of them. Yes, like, it's the same thing as like if you aren't like being cautious and get pickpocketed. It's like, okay, I should have been more conscious about my pocket, but that doesn't mean like people have the right to steal from you. Like, they're still wrong for stealing.
Yeah, okay, I guess I can see that point.
Yeah, it's not like I would dismiss a case and be like, I
understand that people are social animals and we prey on people who are not as adept as we are. So, like, it's just,
I mean, like, it's a jungle. Like, it doesn't do it, and you should know, like, just because people shouldn't do stuff doesn't mean they won't. So, like, obviously, like, yes, you should be guarding yourself, and if you're out here slipping, like, I mean, you failed yourself, so that's on you, but it doesn't mean like the people who are taking advantage of you aren't also wrong. like it's worse, like because they're instead of like trying to help themselves, they're just trying to hurt you. Like there's a difference. Like there's a way to help yourself without hurting people. And I don't know if everybody believes that's true. I think Trump is one of those people who doesn't believe like he's not winning unless somebody's losing. Like there's no way to like that kind of zero sum game mentality. I don't really like it.
Yeah, I don't. I think you can do both. I think you can help people and also still be highly successful. But some people don't see it. Some people don't see it that way.
I know. And that's the sad part. And I don't know that, I mean, if the Bible was teaching that, I'd be way more in favor of it. But right now it seems like it's more about like, because Jacob is one of the heroes of the Bible. Like they always talk about the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And so far I haven't found anything to admire about him. Like he was a dick to his brother. He's been a dick to his uncle. He's been a dick to, I mean, literally just dick to his wives and his slaves. And later on, it doesn't sound like he's that great of a father either. So I'm like, what am I supposed to be getting from this? I'm like, this isn't somebody I admire or would want to even know in real life. So anyway, let's do it next time on Bible Breakdown.
So next time on Bible Breakdown, we are looking at Genesis 31 through 33, which will include Jacob fleeing. Laban overtakes Jacob. We'll also have Jacob sends presents to appease Esau.
Esau's back. Burr, 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 burr.
Jacob wrestles at Peniel. And Jacob and Esau finally meet. This whole season has been leading to this.
I know. Wow. What will happen? Find out next time on Bible Breakdown. Thanks, guys. And thank you, sir. I'm going to stop recording now. Did you want to say goodbye? Goodbye to the good people?
All right. Thank you, people. Appreciate you listening. And continue to send emails.
Oh, yeah. We never say the email at the end of the thing. I was just
it's just on the breakdown@gmail.com.
Yeah. So, that's cool. So do it or don't. I haven't checked it in a while. So.
It's good discussion stuff that we can talk about. And no hate mail, please.
I mean, or at least keep it nice. I get if you don't agree with us. We are kind of flippant, but you know.
The difference between agree or disagreeing and hate mail.
Yes. So.